Hi, Money Day people. Welcome back to another episode of The Formula. Okay, now this is a new series provided by us. Mainly me that's going to be doing them, I'll be honest with you, because it's kind of to give you guys an insight onto how we're executing on these trades on a day-to-day, on a week-to-week basis as well. And just to give you guys a case study and a breakdown of the trades that we're taking and what it exactly is we're seeing in the markets in order to actually enter these trades. Okay, so it's just about providing clarity for you guys so that you can kind of understand what is kind of going on and how you can utilize these methods. Okay, so obviously for those that are interested, please check out our website litcapital.co.uk. That's how you're going to get the inquiries about whether or not you want to, if trading is for you. If it is for you, hit us up and then you'll be able to learn these methods as well. Okay, so going through today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the NAS. Okay, this is one of three trades that I took this week. For me, it was the cleanest setup, so I'm probably just going to case study this because it's easy to understand what you're looking for, and it's easy to actually wait for these things to actually happen so that you can execute pretty great trade, if I do say so myself. I don't normally trade the NAS. Just to provide clarity, I normally trade the US 30, the Dow. Well, the Dow wasn't providing the setup that I needed at the time that I was charting. Okay, looking at the S&P, and when you're trading indices and you're kind of reading between the lines of what's going on, the NAS showed some divergence, and then we was able to kind of enter off of that. Whereas the Dow Jones, in and around the stock open, it was kind of just it was choppy. It wasn't really giving us anything. So I will go through that as well. I'll flick over to it because in order for me to actually execute on this trade, I was looking at the S&P and kind of seeing what that was doing. But the NAS showed an intent to kind of get to an area of interest, whereas the S&P and the Dow, they were holding. And yeah, I kind of just went and executed off of that. So just to give you guys some clarity as well, we did take these trades. I'll show you if you guys can see that. I'm not sure if you can. It does say the NAS in and around these two areas here. So, that's just to provide clarity and let you guys know that we're not going over trades that we're not actually executing and taking ourselves. Okay, we're trying to give you guys a clear and concise method so that you guys can follow what it is that we do. So going into the charts, if we're looking at it for what we see here, we had a pretty bullish move the day before this happened from the actual New York session. So if I just go on the higher time frame, I'll show you the 1 hour quickly. We had a bullish move going into the previous day's session. Okay, so what I could kind of see looking at the higher time frames, of course, is that we looked like we needed a retracement because we had made a new lower low, and since making that lower low, we was expecting a retracement last week as well, which we didn't quite get. So looking forward to what the S&P was showing us as well is that there was still a lot of areas higher up for it to kind of retest in terms of potentially making a lower high. We are bearish on the indices for those that are following it and those who are trading it, of course. So in seeing that bullish move the previous day, excuse me, we kind of saw something along these lines here where we had the London session kind of dip down and then we pushed to the upside throughout the morning. And in doing so with that, what we could kind of see was that on the 15-minute, why it was so stand out for me is that in creating that area here, we clearly had this area of interest in terms of this lip lock, push to the upside, of course, before returning to a potential imbalance. Now, if I go on the 30-minute, I did refine this area. I won't lie to you, I did refine this area. The 30-minute imbalance was kind of bigger than this area, of course. But nonetheless, the reason I kind of refined it is because I wanted it to play into the candle as well and not just touch the top of the imbalance. I did want it to play into the candle. So what I was seeing with that and why I was confident that this trade was happening was obviously the time and the price was lining up. That was the first thing to kind of suggest was that, okay, this could be a goal. Whereas we had the stock open here in terms of the timing. So as you can see at the bottom, 2:30 for us is the New York stock open. We're over in the UK. So this was, what we wanted to see happen, and when we wanted to see happen was in and around that time. Okay, so if we go over to the S&P quick, excuse me, we go over to the S&P quick. What I kind of had marked up for here. Oh, excuse me. Let me just stick to the 15-minute as well. was the same thing. But as you can see, in terms of the timing here, you had 230, 245. It come down, but it didn't come down to where I wanted it to come down. So I was just like, okay, we are getting a bit of divergence because the Nasdaq is falling whilst S&P was holding. So I wasn't willing to miss the trade, because if I go over to the Dow as well, the Dow and the S&P, they followed suit in terms of, 1 second. Yeah, if we look at it here, you can clearly see as the open happened, we was getting a push down. It looked like it was going to make its way down, but it didn't. And then whilst we was getting that, Nasdaq did make its way down. So that's what kind of led me to actually take this trade in regards to it touching an area of interest. So moving on to the smaller time frame in terms of how we enter the trades, we always enter off of the smaller time frame just to give us a better understanding of where to put our stop loss, how we're actually going to manage the trade. Because if you enter on a bigger time frame, you kind of have to bear in mind you're likely to need and incur a bigger risk, okay, in terms of how many pips you need to kind of manage the trade and stuff like that. So I did take a loss on this as well, where I was trying to take a smaller time frame re-entry here, but my stop loss was too tight. But something to learn from, something that I understand for next time and things like that. But what, as you can see from this 5-minute level here, we kind of had a refined area where there was a smaller time frame balance, where we had this initial push on the smaller time frame. We got that retracement come the New York stock open, and we was able to ride this to these highs. If I show you on the 15-minute, what I was aiming for was these highs here, okay? So that was the trade in terms of, you know, being a 4.5 to 1. I was content with that. I didn't want to leave money on the table, so to speak, because the profit that I was seeing was good enough for me to be like, okay, cool, you know, bank. So what I kind of concluded as well was looking at it again in terms of the Nasdaq coming back to the same area and actually giving us the, I don't want to say the move, because this was obviously still a move, but it did give us that continuation later on into the session. But I'm still getting used to the fact that 6 p.m. UK time is 1 p.m. New York time. I'm not really at the charts at 6 p.m. I'll be honest with you, I'm doing other things. So if I don't get a London session entry or a New York session, early New York session entry, you know, it's likely my day's wrapped up. But I am, after, you know, trading indices for a little while now, getting into that mode of, okay, if we don't get the London entry or the New York entry, we could get a later New York entry, which is still valid, of course. But, you know, going over those sessions, you don't always want to just be at the charts at the end of the day, because it's a lot to actually think about in terms of the amount of hours you're sitting at a screen and stuff like that, or having to kind of manage trades and things like that. Come later on into the session, I'm not really at my computer like that. But if we go over to the S&P, of course, what I was going to show you guys is where we got this move down into the later on New York session. That would have been the main entry. I did have alerts go off, of course, but I didn't want to get back into the mode of, number one, risking money that I just made, and number two, having to now manage trades for maybe potentially another hour or two. It's just not really what I wanted to do. So again, same areas as you can see. So where we had the NAS pull down, we had the S&P stalling here, and then eventually later on into the session, it pulled down to the area of interest. You could have still capitalized off that. So looking at the Dow, which is what I normally trade as well, same thing happened. So the S&P and the Dow were following each other. It came down into that area, same setup, and you could have potentially took it. Did not breach the imbalance. It filled it and whatnot, but it did not breach it before getting that move, and you could have held it into the Friday before getting that continuation, which is fine. But it's all about a learning process. It's all about actually executing on trades that you can see. It's not always going to be about what ifs and hypotheticals. It's about, this is what I think is going to happen. Let me take it to an area where I think price can get to, and then manage it that way. So that's kind of a wrap up of the trade for the Formula series today. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope you guys have kind of learned it. Definitely backtest it and go through, if you are interested in indices, go through the trade yourself and see how you could have got better. So it's always going to be a process of refining your strategy and seeing how your strategies work. This one was a great one for me in terms of the week. It was one out of the 3 that I took. I don't normally trade the NAS. I might actually start looking at it in case that, just like how we got this week for me personally, where the US 30 wasn't showing me those entries, but the NAS was. why not substitute it in terms of actually taking the execution? So thank you guys for joining. Please like and subscribe if you found this video and this content useful. I will be bringing it to you week by week, of course, which is what we aim to do. If you guys are interested in learning these concepts, please head over to our website at litcapital.co.uk, where you can understand how exactly to take control of your trading career and inquire. Even if you're a beginner, you can learn this stuff. It's really not that hard. It's rinse and repeat once you understand what you're looking for. So money day, guys. Happy Sunday, happy weekend. I'll probably release this tomorrow. I probably won't release it today, but you know, if you are watching it, enjoy, and thank you for tuning in. Every day is money day, by the way. Remember, peace.